Brooklyn drill has put New York back on the map as one of the cities leading the new wave of hip-hop. It has also exposed fans to the war going on between the two rival gangs called the Woos and the Chos that have been terrorizing the city for close to a decade. One of the most promising up-and-coming rappers to lose his life in this beef is an artist named Nick Blixky, who was part of the notorious Blickie gang. Here's a look into the career and death of Nick Blixky and his involvement in this wild beef. The Woos and the Chos aren't just regular gangs. They're actually larger umbrella gangs that contain different allied sets. Gangbanging in New York is a little different than it is out west because gangs aren't necessarily associated with a particular neighborhood or beef. Gangs in New York have more to do with who you get money with and the individual problems you have with enemies in your area. So, blood sets could be allied with Crips and even go against other blood sets or vice versa. These umbrella gangs have formed to identify which sets are cool with each other and which ones are at war. The Woo is made up of different blood and Crip sets, while the Chos are mostly gangsta disciples and bloods with a few Crip sets thrown in. Check out our video on the Woos vs the Chos for more info on this beef. Nick Blixky was a rapper who was affiliated with the Blickie gang, a rap collective made up of GDs who rep the Cho. This group was started by rapper 22 G's, who originally went by the name 22 Blicky.
I was 22 Blicky in the beginning. I'm still 22 Blicky though, but I'm 22 G's, you feel me?
He's credited as being an OG member of the Brooklyn drill sound, and he's one of the most popular Cho rappers from Brooklyn. But after he was arrested for being involved in a wild shootout in Miami,
19-year-old Jeffrey Alexander allegedly shot and killed 30-year-old Ladarian Tyrell Phillips of Homestead.
Nick Blixky would have to step up and hold it down for the Blickie gang on the music front. Nick Blixky earned his name in the streets of Brooklyn and the Bronx. He would officially become a member of the Gangsta Disciples after being inducted into the Blickie gang led by 22 G's. The Gangsta Disciples have a long history of beef in Brooklyn. The GDs were originally from Chicago and ended up coming to Brooklyn sometime in the 90s. Their main headquarters in Brooklyn was the Ebbetsfield Apartments in the Prospect LaFert's Garden neighborhood. Although the GDs are feared and respected in the city, they are also outnumbered and known to beef with nearly every other gang in the area except the sets they are allied with under the Cho umbrella. But being the underdog has made them one of the deadliest gangs in New York City. The Blickie gang first started gaining attention with the rise in popularity of 22 G's, who popped off with tracks like Blickie and Suburban. Nick was friends with 22 G's, who pushed him to pursue music early on. But at the time, Nick was still heavily in the streets and music didn't seem like a major priority. Then, in 2014, 22 G's would be arrested for his involvement in a shootout and police chase that left one person dead.
Police say Alexander fired at the Buick's owner, who was shot in the leg. His friend was shot in the back and died. Alexander was taken into custody.
It all started with an argument over a parking space. 22 G's was in a white BMW with 3 other men in Miami. They tried to fit in a parking space that was too small and ended up hitting a gold Buick that was in the next space. The 2 owners of the vehicle saw it from across the street and went over to confront 22 G's and his crew. During the argument, someone in the car pulled out a gun and shot the 2 men who owned the other car. One was killed and the other survived. This led to a wild police chase that resulted in shots being fired by police, and the driver of the car ended up dead. 22 G's spent several months fighting this case.
Alexander is now charged with 1 count of second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder.
But it was eventually dropped. The jury was unable to prove that he had any involvement other than being in the car at the time of the shooting, so he was cleared of all the charges. While 22 G's was locked up, Nick Blixky would step up to represent the Blickie gang and began releasing music. He had secretly been recording songs, but didn't let anyone know. So when 22 G's got locked up, he already had a track ready to release. Once his homie was back in the streets, the two would collab for the track Jet Li and band together to take over the rap game. By this point, Blickie gang was becoming a major movement with other members like Nas Blicky and Breezy Blicky also putting out music that was doing numbers. It seemed like it was only a matter of time before the crew would take over the industry. But like in most drill scenes, the popularity of the music also fueled the beef, and before Nick could truly enjoy his success, he would become another victim of the endless cycle of violence that haunts every hood in America. At the same time that the Blickie gang was gaining momentum, other rival rappers associated with the Crips who rep the Woo, like Pop Smoke and 5 Foreign, were also gaining traction. So were rappers like Chef G and Sleepy Hollow, who were straight Crip and not associated with the Wu, but still had beef with the GDs. Then, 22 G's signed the Kodak Black Sniper Gang label in 2018, bringing national attention to the Blickie gang. This would give Nick the opportunity to go out on national tours with his friends and gain even more exposure in the industry. The rapper would take advantage of the spotlight and release bangers like Different Type of Time and Drive the Boat that would cement him as one of Brooklyn's most promising drill rappers. But with all that attention also comes jealousy, and with the war between the Woos and the Chos raging in the streets of Brooklyn, it was only a matter of time before something serious would go down. That moment would come when Nick allegedly caught one of his ops, Chef G, outside a courthouse in Brooklyn and slashed him on the head, forcing him to cut his iconic braids. Chef G is a Crip rapper from Flatbush associated with the A-Tray moving gang. He originally blew up off a diss track called No Suburban, which was a direct response to the 22 G's song Suburban. Chef and 22 G's had been beefing ever since, throwing subliminals at each other on tracks and going back and forth on IG Live. Chef even went as far as calling 22 G's a rat after beating the case in Miami, which the rapper denies.
You don't do that. Yo, bro, when you sign up for the streets, you take a certain code that you gonna live by for the rest of your life. You understand? You rat.
This made Chef G a primary op to the Blickie gang, which led to the rapper getting attacked and sliced outside his PO's office. Early on in his career, Chef was known for his distinctive pigtail braids, which he can be seen rocking in the video for No Suburbans. But in an interview with DJ Vlad, he revealed that he had to cut them off after he got slashed in the head by an op.
Cut my head. Feel me? I got cut in my head. And then when I went to the hospital, they was like, the cut was too small, so they couldn't find it. You feel me? So they had to move my hair to find the cut.
The rapper actually posted on IG Live from the hospital that night, which shows his head bandaged up with his hair looking crazy. In another interview, he revealed that he was leaving a meeting with his probation officer when he got attacked. He says that everyone in Brooklyn gets sent to the same offices for probation, so it's common to run into ops in the area. One of his enemies ran up on him from behind, which is how he got cut. Chef is careful with what he says in interviews, so he never revealed who caught him lacking. But word on the street is that it was Nick Blixky who decided to teach the rapper a lesson about talking to his homie 22 G's. All the success in the music industry and their growing reputation in the streets started making the Blickie gang feel invincible. They would continue to send shots at their ops in songs and on social media like most drill rappers do. But the crew would end up taking it a bit too far, dissing a dead rapper that would eventually lead to the murder of one of their most promising members. In February 2020, Pop Smoke was gunned down during a home invasion at a house he was renting in Hollywood Hills, California.
20-year-old rapper Pop Smoke, whose real name was Bashar Jackson, was shot and killed just after 4 a.m. in the Hollywood Hills.
Pop was one of the leading voices in the Brooklyn drill movement and was quickly becoming one of the biggest rising stars in the industry. He was also affiliated with the Crips and repped the Wu heavily in his music. But right at the height of his success, Pop was tragically murdered in a robbery gone wrong. The rapper accidentally revealed the address to the home he was renting by posting a video to his IG showing a gift he'd been sent. A group of teenage gang members then broke into the house and caught Pop in the shower. He tried to fight back, and they just ended up shooting him and only getting away with a watch and some other jewelry. Although the alleged killers were gang affiliated, police don't believe his death was related to any street-related beef. The death of Pop Smoke was a major blow to NYC, especially the Crips. But being one of their most well-known ops, the Blickie gang didn't miss an opportunity to diss their fallen enemy. Hours after it was announced that Pop passed, Breezy Blickie and Nas Blicky would be on social media sending direct shots at their dead op. Just a few months after Pop Smoke was killed, Nick Blixky would be shot in the chest with a shotgun on Winthrop Street in the Prospect Lefferts Garden neighborhood of Brooklyn.
Nick Blixky was discovered with gunshot wounds on Winthrop Street in Prospect Lefferts Gardens.
Footage leaked to the internet of Nick Blixky dead in the street with cops standing over the body, leading many to assume that he was the victim of police brutality. But as more details from the shooting were released, it was revealed that Nick Blixky was yet another casualty in the war between the Woos and the Chos. Authorities revealed that they believed Nick Blixky's death was a retaliation hit for the Blickie gang dissing Pop Smoke, even though Nick never actually sent any shots himself. But in the wild streets of Brooklyn, it doesn't matter. You're responsible for anything your gang says or does because whoever gets caught first is gonna feel the pain. Rappers on both sides would take to social media to honor Nick's and mock his death in typical drill fashion. Rapper 1090 Justo B would take the disrespect to an extreme, posting a photo of himself standing on a grave that had GDK spray painted on it while he's holding a red bandana and wearing a shirt that says, "Rest in Piss, Nick Blixky, GDK." But Nick Blicky's mom later revealed that her son had been cremated and was at home, so the rapper had just destroyed a random grave for clout. Not long after, police later recovered surveillance footage from a nearby deli that showed the shooting take place. Based on this evidence, the cops were able to identify a 28-year-old named Khalif Gleen as the primary suspect. Gleen had previously served time for an attempted murder. The footage from the deli showed the shooter walk into a building on 800 Eastern Parkway after the hit, which is where Gleen lived. Plus, the cops were able to identify a distinctive globe tattoo on the shooter's arm, which matched the photos of Gleen, and the surveillance video revealed that the killer was rocking a blue bandana, pointing to gang affiliations as a possible motive. But the most shocking detail revealed by the footage was that Nick dapped up his killer moments before he was shot, suggesting that they knew each other and may have even been friends. A witness also confirmed that Nick and his killer had greeted each other like they were homies before Gleen backed up and started letting off shots. Another witness heard gunshots and then saw a man in a hoodie with a blue bandana run down the street and hop on the back of a bike to make a getaway. Cops were able to arrest Gleen for illegal possession of ammunition after matching the shell casings found at the scene to the bullets that were found in his apartment. So, the cops have plenty of evidence to tie Gleen to the crime scene and prove that he's guilty of Nick Blicky's murder. Based on the evidence, it seems like Nick was taken out by one of his own people. The police have not revealed an official motive, but based on Gleen's gang affiliations, they believe that the shooting has something to do with the Blickie gang dissing Pop Smoke after he passed. After the rapper was killed, Nick's mother gave an interview where she made a shocking accusation of her son's friends. She said that she believes the Blickie gang was responsible for Nick's murder and that they sacrificed her son.
And my son sacrificed couple days after.
She said that he had tried to separate himself from the gang because he'd been betrayed by them in the past. She also said she knows who the killer is and that they sacrificed him because he was trying to change his life and focus on music. It's a pretty wild accusation, but when you consider the fact that Nick was cool with his killer, it does start to make more sense. After Nick Blicky was killed, the GDs retaliated by going after several Wu affiliates and GDKs like GS9 Bugsy and KJ Baller. It doesn't seem like the war between the Wus and the Chos will be slowing down anytime soon, and with every life that's lost, the beef just gets more and more intense. Tragically, another talented rapper was killed before he was able to truly enjoy his success. But when you're living that life, you almost can't trust anyone because even former friends can turn into enemies and take your life.